Let's see if we can make you feel really terrible. I mean good. This is Wretched Radio. Brent Detweiler drubbing us, reminding us all of the ways that you and I can be pride-filled sinners. And if we let the conviction land, if we are willing to admit and agree with God, yep, we are that pride-filled, there is a great deal of joy awaiting you. Christianity is not mystical. Christianity is cognitive. It is not necessarily academic, although it can be, but Christianity is not void of thinking. And far too often, you and I fail to do the thinking necessary to have the joy that God wants us to have. Don't forget, He wants you to have joy. He doesn't want you to just be flatlined. He wants you to have joy. Why? Because He is a joy-filled God. Have you forgotten that, by the way? God is not holding His nose around you. That God is a God who takes joy in forgiving sinners because He's that good and He's that loving despite us. Have you forgotten that? Do you let yourself appreciate that? Are you willing to go through the cognitive process of arriving at the destination of joy? That is what it requires, that we think through these things. Way too often, I see these emails regularly, and I understand it. People want to know if they're actually saved because they don't feel something. They don't feel saved. I don't know what that feels like. I don't even know that anybody can describe that. But when you press somebody, they'll say, well, it's just that I know that I'm saved. Well, okay, then it's not an emotion. It's a cognitive process, which will indeed produce an emotion. You'll feel happy, if you will. You'll have joy in knowing that you are His and you cannot be snatched from His hand. But you must know it, which means we must think these things through. And that is what I'd like to endeavor to do for you, because I personally do not need this list about all of the ways that we can be pride-filled. So I will just use it to drub you, but don't stop there. Never stop with just being convicted. You should be convicted. Let's not run into the hyper-grace ditch of never feeling bad about anything because Jesus has it covered. That is wrong theology also. But I fear too many of us, because we tend to be conservative biblicists, we forget to let the good news of God's kindness seep in. I can't help but wonder if that's why, well, a fair amount of us were kind of, what's the word I'm looking for that might best describe conservative Christians who have a high view of the Bible? Crabby? Little short?
Little cagey.
Little cagey. Definitely cagey. And we're just not very warm. We've got the theology boxes checked, but we aren't willing to take the time to just think this through, because we're thinking people. Christians are not mystical people. We don't just wait for the bibbidi-bobbidi-boo to happen. God wants us to think, be transformed. How? By the renewing of your mind. And we so often bypass that, especially in evangelical Christianity, don't we? We go to the show, the music causes emotions to come bubbling up, but they're ginned up. We need to be thinking on truths about God, truths about ourselves, and truths about what God did for us despite ourselves. Then you are going to arrive at feelings. Bypass the intellect and your feelings. Good luck. Good luck. And way too many evangelicals, man, they're caught in that trap where they have to go to the big show to get it. You know, my walk, just lacking these days. So I'm going to that conference. You know, it's down at the Metrodome. Going to be several bands there. And, it's going to be dark and loud. I'm going to get some feelings down there. And then you leave. And God's flashlight shines on you, and you go, I've kind of lost that love and feeling. I guess I got to go to the next conference. No, you got a Bible. Open it. Read it. Think about it. Let it inflict a gash, and then let it heal you. And we'll endeavor to do that right now, courtesy of All of the Ways That You Can Have Pride, written by Brent Detweiler. You draw attention to yourself. You like to be the center of attention. You talk more at the family functions. You command the table. You've got pride. You like to talk about yourself, your opinions, what you're thinking, the way the world runs. If you are ever deceitful, what are you doing? You're trying to protect yourself. Why? Because you can't get hurt. So you're willing to tell just a little shading of the truth. If you're ever pretentious, that you kind of build yourself up more than what you really are, it's pride. You desire recognition and praise. Watch that one. Watch it. Now, please note, there's nothing wrong with getting that. That's cool. And I think we should be encouragers for one another. Let's not put any sort of encouragement on the shelf. Barnabas was an encourager. We should be too. We should encourage one another to do what? To pursue godliness and holiness and to do good things. We encourage one another. We can also point out where we've seen a weakness in the past and now it's a strength. Wow, look at God working in you. We can be encouragers. But if you look for that and you can't get through your day unless you get an accolade or somebody recognizes you, stay-at-home mom, careful. This is really easy. I get it. You do so much. And this is a test. This really is. You do so much for everybody in the home. And you'll never get enough thanks for them. And it's really easy to start feeling like, come on, I am not appreciated. And I'm not saying that they shouldn't. That's not my point. This is an opportunity to see your heart. Why is it that you feel that you need accolades when you have already been told by God himself, you're my beloved, and because of Jesus Christ, you're in him and I'm pleased with you? That should be enough. Is it? At work? Do you feel like your work has been undervalued and underappreciated? Not by God, it hasn't, if you're doing it for him. Otherwise, you have pride. Not fulfilled serving others, you do it, but it doesn't give you a buzz. You're self-sufficient. You don't need anybody. Woofta, that's pride. You're anxious about your life. Why? It's because you're not trusting God. You don't believe his promises. If you have a hard time sleeping at night because you're worried, it's because you think you've got to fix everything. That's pride. You're self-focused. You fear humans. Fear of man problem is a big pride issue. It's the core of being scared about what somebody's going to think about you if they find out that, fill in the blank, your house is messy. You can't hit that shot. You didn't make that much. Oh, it'd be so embarrassing. It's a fear of man stemmed in pride. Do you have pride? Man, we've got boatloads of it. I'm going to blast through these. This is going to feel like a speed bag. Remember, we're letting God wound us so that he can heal us and give us joy. These are all the ways that you can have pride. You're insecure. You compare yourself to others. You're a perfectionist. You're self-serving. You feel better or superior. You think highly of yourself. You give credit to yourself. You're self-righteous. You feel deserving. I deserve to have that. They don't, by the way. You're ungrateful. You know why you're ungrateful? It's because you think that you should have that stuff. I don't need to say thank you to God or to anybody else because it's me we're talking about here. Do you smell yourself yet? You're captive to self-pity, jealous and envious, unkind and harsh. You love to reveal your mind. You might be considered a know-it-all. You like people to know you know. It's hard to admit you don't know. You don't listen to ordinary people. After all, you've got a degree. You interrupt people because I got to say it. What I've got to say is better than what you've got to say. You don't get much out of teaching. I know this stuff. You think of others during teaching because they need it. You don't. You're not teachable. You don't admit wrongdoing. Anybody else have a little struggle with that area? The wrongdoing? You've got wrongdoing. I don't have wrongdoing. You don't welcome correction. You resent people who correct you. Okay, we're at 37. Got the point yet? And yet, Jesus died for you. Knowing about your stinking, reeking pride, he marched to a cross, knowing how pride-filled that you would be to die for you anyway. Why? Because God so loved the pride-filled world, he gave his only begotten Son to be the propitiation. Because God is love. Might I encourage you to dwell and smell your reeking pride today, and then let the balm of the gospel of the death, burial, and resurrection of Jesus Christ not just make you feel not guilty, but give you joy because he is that amazing, even when I am that pride-filled. What is not to love about a God like that? This is Wretched Radio.
Bailiff, please have the witness put the right hand on the Bible and administer the oath.
Oh, the Bible, which actually says our yea should be yea and our nay should be nay.
Does the defense have any more witnesses?
Yeah, 2 of them in Revelation 11.